tells Eddie Murphy, like, raise it up some or whatever. And Eddie's like, what, you thought I was worried for you?
Right.
And they're on stage. I don't know. He laughed about it, but he didn't move his mic up either.
Oh. They both were pretty big time, but
they were. But
Michael was still on another level.
Eddie was young too. I mean, this was it looked like he was it was after Raw, and what were those first two specials, Raw, and then
I wouldn't have been too prideful to adjust Michael Jackson's mic for him.
That's what I was thinking.
Now,
too.
if he could adjust it himself, hey Mike, your hands ain't broke, But if he was like indisposed, like maybe he was performing, dancing, you needed me to adjust something for you, okay, I got you. But
I think he just couldn't figure it out. But I think Eddie Murphy just didn't want to be seen as an assistant,
It's like, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and who's going to... And that's Eddie Murphy, dude. We know you're nobody's assistant. You know what I'm saying? Like, we saw Delirious. We saw that. We saw that.
Right. I think sometimes you just got to have some humility.
That's what I think, yeah. But that's hard when you're young.
It is.
It's hard when you're young.
It is.
Because you feel like you have to defend. Well, yeah, it's always a fight.
How would you put it in words for someone that is young? Like, I think as you grow, you start to become more humble and start to
I agree.
You start to realize that I would rather diffuse a fight than to entertain a fight, or
So here's my question: what makes
conflict resolution?
Yeah, how do you come to that? How do you come to that place? How do you get that humility? Or I don't know if that's necessarily humility, but how do you come there as an older man? That point of wisdom.
You probably have been kicked in the face a few times, and you realize you don't like it. I don't know. Kick, punched. You done been burnt before. It's like, okay.
So what could you have told your younger self? Could anybody have told anything to your younger self that would have made you not have to take those licks? Could you have learned that by somebody telling it to you?
Probably nothing that wouldn't have went in one ear, not the other.
Sure.
As a younger person.
And if you did avoid some of those pitfalls, you still didn't learn the lesson.
Correct.
You just took somebody's advice, and sometimes that's good enough, but some things have to be
learned.
There's you've probably seen it on Facebook.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. Yeah.
Sink or
Trial
swim.
by fire. How do you know?
On the job training. OJT.
OJT is very important.
Is it in life?
In life.
OJT in life.
It's funny when I see your son, Enzo, and I think to some people, they may see the way you raise him and think it's more of a laissez-faire type of hands-off, whatever it is. And I don't think anything could be farther from the truth. But he is allowed to kind of roam and explore his immediate environment.
Oh, correct. Under supervision, though.
It's
still under direct
He's definitely under supervision, but it's the type of supervision that's going to allow him to make a few mistakes. He's going to fall down. I've seen him fall. You've seen him fall. If you have kept him corralled in a playpen all the time, which, I mean, we have a playpen, but I'm just saying if you never let them get out there and fall down, then they don't understand what a scraped knee is.
What a scraped knee. Or that's hot. Like I cook with that kettle.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I guard him from going back there when I'm cooking, or I stand in front of him. But it's been a time or two where I let him go back there and I let him touch it.
Sure.
I'll touch it.
I let Madeline put her hand in some hot water the other day.
I've been trying to, keep you from it, and he still insists on coming back there and touching that kettle. So a time or two, I let him go back there and he learned his lesson.
It's interesting, the parallels between our kids and our dogs.
He'd make you move.
He'd make you move.
He'd make you move. I mean, that's hot.
You've met my dog, Hank. Great big. He's an 87-pound.
What is it, boxer mix? I don't know.
He's
what
a mutt, really.
Mutt,
the vet said she thinks he's lab and mastiff mix.
Okay, lab and mastiff. Okay.
Yeah, but whatever it is, he's just but when he was a puppy, he would come out in the backyard when I was working in the yard, and he kept wanting to put his face in the weed eater. He was, he wanted to get it. He thought it was something he could bite or chew on or whatever.
Okay.
And I was afraid I was going to hit him in the nose or the eye or something, do some real damage or whatever. And I couldn't get him to stop. And so finally, I striped his butt with it one time.
Hey.
I didn't like hitting the dog's butt with a weed eater. And of course,
I'm pretty sure you went full throttle when you
I gave him a good little whack.
Gave him a good little
strike. Because here was my attitude. Okay, I'm going to leave a welt on him one time now, and he'll keep his face. And now I don't have to worry about it with the weed eater. When I get the weed eater out,
hey, he knows.
He goes in the house. He goes in the house. But then I don't have to worry about his face getting hit with something. lesson well learned. Sometimes you let your kids, fall down and get the
I'm about to have
what
they call it, DFS or whatever, Child Protective Services for let my kid touch a hot kettle. You about to have PETA on us. I mean, the two organizations.
We're in trouble now.
We're in trouble.
Hey, we don't have any sponsors yet, so there you go.
Hey, don't forget about Hillary still coming out to us too. We talked about her in one episode. Hey,
man, I watch over my shoulder for Hillary.
Hillary coming, man. Hillary's like that T-1000 I brought up the other day.
Hillary might be a T-1000.
She might be a
T-1000.
Oh my goodness. It's over. You can't defeat a T-1000.
I keep waiting for Biden to glitch and be like Max Headroom, but it's just old man glitches is all it is. You don't see anything from him anymore.
Wow.
I feel bad for that dude. I do. If that was my father or grandfather they had up there, parading around like a puppet.
It's funny, we kind of politics kind of come in our conversations and
from a different twist, though.
Very different twist, because I see the world a lot different than others, but we don't have a president. Biden just he put his 2 weeks in and turned it over,
We kind of, this gives a whole new...
I can't see. I can't even read.
Mr. Producer's saying something. Hold the phone, y'all.
Hold the phone.
Oh, thank you. That's a good point.
What's that?
We've done no intro. We're just yakety yak. Episode 2,
season 2, episode 1.
Season 2, episode 2. Episode 1 was last week.
Yes. Season 2, episode 2.
Season 2, episode.
Thank you for the correction.
2.
It's always good to have accountability.
And
correction.
Just as a behind the scenes to our potential listeners, we're right at the point now where we're about to start releasing to the public. So when you hear this somewhere on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, we're right at the point now where we're going to be putting that out. Season 2, episode 2. So the rest of this has all just been done in preparation of providing you, our loyal listener, with enough content to keep you occupied while we create more for you.
And hopefully entertained.
Hopefully entertained.
Yeah.
But at least occupied.
Correct.
We'll do it the way we do it. Q, what you got for an intro, man? You got something new? You seem like you got to look like maybe something's going on.
What I got for intro? I just want to tell the people, welcome back to another episode of Vendor Chronicles, where the truth is stranger than fiction. I'm Q the Messenger, and my co-host is Shane the Brain Knox. Like I said before in my last episode, if you were listening, Shane is the most intellectual man I know. And I'm just honored to be sitting here with him. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that he entertains my nonsense. And we also have our producer, Kevin Richardson. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Shout out, Kevin. Shout out that 86 Kids Studio.
25 years old perpetually.
At least he feels like
25 physically, 55 mentally. There you go.
Mm-hmm. He looks 25.
The wisdom of the ages.
He looks 25, but hey, if you know, black don't crack. And my boy, he's not cracking. He's like chiseled out of marble over here. He's gonna stand the test of time.
The test of time.
The test of time. And hey, it's just an honor to be here.
Hey, and if I can say too, Kevin's one hell of a snappy dresser. A snappy dresser.
Oh man, he has some.
At pretty much any time, you could take a photograph of Kevin.
Oh, he's always fresh.
Not necessarily every time on GQ.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time it might be on Men's Health or something. You know what I'm saying? Entrepreneur episode. But always sharp dressing.
Hey, and he's slim and trim.
Slim and trim.
He very slim and trim. He got that, what's that, like that European look.
He does have an exotic,
he looks like a European,
and
but he's actually an American.
I've asked Kevin before what his racial background is, and he's very mysterious.
He don't even know.
He says that. Mysterious is what it is. I don't know.
Hey, whatever he is, he's a mix of all the good things of that.
I agree. Yeah. The best of all.
The best of everything, He's been bred very well. That's all I got for an intro. Welcome to another episode. I'm Q the Messenger. This has been the Chronicles, where the truth is stranger than fiction.
Let's go.
Let's go.
What were we talking about?
Shoot, we went down a rabbit hole and I forgot.
Well, I tell you what.
My mind fails me. My memory. Short term.
That was one of the most interesting intros I think we've done so far. I'm tired of that carnival voice. I got to come up with a new one. I mean, I could do a whole different intro, the same intro in a different voice, but you know, I like that casual way of just coming into it. This is what's going on today, and here we are.
And here we are.
Here we are.
I think that was pretty provocative, that intro. You know, I try to say something that's thought stimulating and also truthful and transparent.
Thought stimulating, truthful, and transparent.
That's how I approach this.
That sounds like a cable news network.
Thought stimulating, truthful, and transparent. That's like TTT.
We are TTT News, coming to you now 24 hours a day.
24 hours.
Right here with Q the Messenger.
Hey, we actually got some like you mentioned it, or you alluded to it earlier on, like how this is season 2, episode 2. We got some things in the bag for people. You know, our bag is starting to fill up.
We do have some stuff in there for you. There's if you're listening to this, there's quite a bit of content that's already been done. And we've got a full calendar moving forward to continue doing these podcasts.
Correct.
And if this is something you enjoy listening to, we're going to try to keep it to an hour. And we are going to try to bring some of our friends in here to join the conversation. We're kind of we're still settling into our shoes, I think. We're still settling into our shoes. Like we got them, you know, they're kind of broken in a little bit, but I got a blister on my pinky toe.
Okay.
Need to get Eddie Murphy to come and shoot it off.
Blister on your pinky toe.
A blister on my pinky toe.
You know, if you ever heard someone coin the name Blister and what that means? You never had a blister? You never worked with a blister?
No.
It basically describes a lazy person. They always show up when the work's done.
A blister.
You got the blister, and that's when they ready to show up. So you call them blister. You know what I'm saying? It's like a play on words. Like, all right, blister. You know, I done all the work. You been in the bathroom 30 minutes.
That's hilarious.
you never heard that one? You show up when the work's done. All right, blister.
So
here comes blister.
I got a good term for the opposite of that.
Okay.
Somebody that takes care of business, you can count on them, whatever. They're like a farmer. They're outstanding in their field.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like that.
I used to say that always in the restaurant. I'd be like, hey, you look like a farmer. Like, what are you talking about, man? You're outstanding in your field.
Outstanding in your field. I like that. I ain't never heard that one.
So, Q, listen, man, I have been as close to hibernation as a person can be.
Yeah, you've been a hermit.
The last time I left my property, which is not a big piece of property, was last week doing this podcast. I've got my head down getting inventory built, making toys and getting ready. I leave out in the morning for Atlanta. So that's been my life for the week in a nutshell. But tell me about your week. Tell me what's been going on. Let me live vicariously through your week for just a moment.
Live vicariously. Hey, I am one of the most interested men in Huntsville.
I agree with that 100%. 100%. If you're listening to this, you probably do too.
Hey, you could tell the humility in my voice when I say that.
How many markets did you do this week?
I did Green Street, Bailey Cove. I did Jazz in the Park and Mid-City all in one day. So that was 4. I had 4 events this past week.
Wow. Busy.
Very busy. Mid-City got rained out Sunday. Of course, you know. Right. We packed it up an hour early. Got out of there about 3:00.
Just ahead of the rain, too.
Just ahead of the rain. Yeah. Still made a couple dollars. You know,
we did too.
I wasn't disappointed in being there, you know, even though we had to leave early. But right after that, we had to go downtown for Jazz in the Park.
Okay.
Which was slower than usual because of the rain, because of the weather, but people still showed up and showed out. Made a few $100 there.
Okay.
Got to really talk and meet some interesting people. That's always a fun part about being a vendor, and just getting that brand out there even more.
Sure.
So this week's been pretty good as far as events goes. My Bailey Cove event ended this Saturday. So I had to find something else to do on Saturdays.
Okay.
You know,
that's a little early.
My Saturdays are going to be open. It is. They end every year at Labor Day.
They focus on a farmer's market, though.
Correct. And produce is starting to dry up, I would say. And now you get into, you start to get into the winter months. You start just having greens and stuff, your leafy greens. But far as like fresh fruit, tomatoes, stuff like that,
Yeah, that stuff
watermelons,
dries up.
that stuff starting to dry up. Your strawberries and stuff like that. So
The watermelons this year have not been very good.
you don't
I sound
think
like
so?
an old person saying that, but in my tasting,
Mm-hmm.
I probably haven't eaten as much watermelon this year as I usually do. But I felt like, they say the season, what the weather is like changes the flavor of a lot of different things, and I feel like watermelon's always that way. And I feel like maybe, like if we were talking about wine, well, 2024 was an excellent wine for
Correct.
such,
That
but
vintage.
Yeah, not such a good vintage for watermelon.
Not
I
a
don't think.
vintage year for
I
watermelon.
don't think so, man.
Maybe
No.
they say wine gets better with age. Like say you have a vintage of wine that wasn't maybe that good this year. Maybe
Right.
if you age it in some barrels for about a year or two, supposedly it gets better.
Yeah, I don't know. I like wine.
Oh, I do too.
I know just enough about it to know what wines I like and don't like.
I like mine sweet, like grape juice.
Okay.
I'm a grape juice wine drinker.
I like a dry wine.
Then you get the aficionados that's experienced in wine. They prefer a drier wine with a higher alcohol content.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like sweet if I'm having something sweet, it needs to be dessert.
Okay.
If it's not dessert, like I don't like mixing sweet and savory flavors. And to me, now I'm not above like a Chardonnay or something like that. But have you ever had ice wine?
Never even heard of it.
So I'm not an expert, but my wife and I did a wine tour or whatever in Niagara, up by Niagara Falls, just right there by Canada. And we went on, bought a couple cases from different, it was fun. But ice wine, you have to harvest the grapes when the temperature has been below like 20 something degrees for a certain number of days, right? So they're frozen and they've been frozen for several days. And then they have to be processed, squeezed, whatever you say that. Whatever they first do, they have to be squozed. And I don't think they're doing this barefoot because those are, they're frozen.
Correct.
But anyways, it all has to be done. There's criteria. You could probably look it up. But anyways, it results in a really, really, really sweet. It's a dessert wine. Like you might get if you had like picture a champagne flute, there's not much in there, and then maybe fill it a third of the way is pretty much how that would be served, but it's in kind of like a dessert wine glass or whatever. It's too sweet for my taste. I don't care for it. Like Southern strawberry wine.
So that'd be more my speed because, like I said, I prefer the sweeter.
It's real sweet, man. It's
vintage
almost
of wines.
Think about if you were drinking in a bar, it would be like drinking a schnapps. It would almost be that kind of a thick, real, just too sweet for my palate,
right?
For sure.
Right,
like I'll go with you on a Chardonnay or maybe that's probably about as sweet as I'm gonna go. Really,
Chardonnay.
Yeah, anything sweeter than that.
Oh, Merlot.
I like a Merlot.
You like you a Merlot.
I like a Merlot.
You like you a
Give me a glass of that there Merlot.
Give me some of that Merlot you got there.
Look here, Ethel, it's from Australia.
My ultimate goal is to start a winery.
Really?
That is my ultimate goal.
Have you been to the one in Monteagle?
No, I have not.
That's a fun little drive. Monteagle, Tennessee. Take you an hour and a half or so to get here.
Which is not bad.
Halfway on the way to the Jack Daniels distillery.
Okay.
Or to the, where's the Uncle Nearest distillery?
It starts with an S because I've been to there.
It's over there near Jack Daniels somewhere,
I can't even think of the name of the town. It starts with an S. Yeah, it's like 20 minutes from Jack Daniels. Further into Tennessee.
Monteagle is up that way. So, I mean, it'd be a fun day trip anyways for you to see. It's fun. But the winery up there, you can get a little, you can get some samples and, buy a couple bottles or whatever.
That's my ultimate, I'm going to say dream, but goal.
Who'd have thunk it?
When I get me some property,
gotta get some land,
some acreage, I want to start a winery.
Okay. What kind of wine do you want to make? Sweet Southern wine? I
want to make the wine that sells. But ultimately, I want to make the wine I want to make.
Right.
Regardless if it sells or not. When I approach things, and it's probably not good business advice, but I ultimately want to do what I want to do.
If it doesn't have your flavor in it, then what's the point in doing it? Just for money? Come on, man.
Money's not my ultimate goal no more.
The older I get, the less I really care how much. I want to have enough money to do the things I want to do.
Correct.
And beyond that, I don't care.
And that's hard to teach as well. Like I know we was talking about how do you teach humility. I think teaching not chasing a dollar or the dollar being your ultimate outcome or goal is something that you have to learn over time when you've been chasing dollars for so long.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way to learn it. There's no way you're going to teach a 20-year-old version of either one of us that maybe we should hang back and enjoy life a little bit more.
Enjoy your life a little bit more. Because I could say all of my 20s and most of my 30s, I worked.
Sure.
Full time. And when I say full time, I'm talking 10, 12 hours a day.
Absolutely. Sure.
All those years, 15 years.
And as a man, you feel like, I think sometimes we equate busyness, action with results. I spent a lot of time working really, really hard in the restaurant business, and it really wasn't, I was working really hard, but long term, it wasn't getting me the results that it should have been getting. Had I had a little bit of guidance as far as how to work smarter than hard. And
but then, like you said, how do you tell that to someone? Like, I got a son that's about to graduate and he wants to make money. He wants to go chase money. And I mean, ultimately you start to realize that you'll never catch money. You could chase it all you want.
Right.
And you'll never catch it.
There's always something.
And then
more.
you got to always act like we could have did an event yesterday. They was going to do Jazz in the Park back to back.
Oh,
like
wow.
It was Sunday. And then they also was going to run it on Monday.
Okay.
And I think, and I got a relationship with the guy who puts it on. And I could have easily asked him, hey, is it okay if we came out?
Just slide right in. Sure.
Slide right in, for Monday, for tomorrow. And me and my wife, we discussed it, because before I realized, or before we learned that they were going to have another event Monday, my wife was like, well, let's just go do something fun, And then I realized that they was having it, and it hit me, man, we can make some money.
Right.
But as I thought on it and pondered, I was like, you know what? Let's go enjoy Monday.
Why are you making the money? To have fun, right?
To have fun. We work. We work every weekend.
Every weekend.
So we never have weekends free. The kids are, out of school because of Labor Day tomorrow. So That's just a perfect opportunity to go do something with the family. And as I pondered, I was like, man, forget that money. Let's go do something and have a good time, enjoy one another, and, have a peace of mind.
I saw a meme or sign, or how it is. You see little funny sayings or whatever. This one said something along the lines of 20 years from now, the only people that will remember that you worked overtime are your kids.
Ooh.
That's tough right there.
That's cold.
That'll make you really, think about what's,
And now your kids are grown. That time's gone.
It's interesting the position that I'm in because, of course, I've got a 30-year-old son and a 27-year-old daughter and a 15-month-old daughter. So there's a lot of time in between there. I've changed a lot since my older two were young. A lot has changed, and I look around now and see the time that I can spend with my daughter, and with my older two, it seemed like I had to make time. I was always tired.
Correct.
I was always coming in from work, and there were other circumstances there too.
And so they never get your best either.
And they never get your best.
They never get your best,
And now, because I work the way that I work and can make the choices I make, I have a lot more time just to spend on those little everyday, small things with our youngest daughter. And it makes a big difference. It's interesting to, you said something I wanted to comment on about how do you teach your son? He's 17, about to go into the world.
And he wants things.
He's gonna want things.
He wants things. He wants money.
Bad.
He wants dollars. He wants a nice car. He wants a nice house.
Yep. Why does he want those things?
I don't know.
Because somewhere out there's a girl waiting for him that needs him to be able to provide those things, and he knows it instinctively. It's in his lizard brain. That's my opinion.
His lizard brain.
I think it's in his lizard brain that he knows. Think about Cynthia. When you met her, when you realized that she was somebody you wanted to spend the rest of your life with, you wanted to be you wanted to have your stuff together as much as possible.
Is correct.
Because you knew she was gonna, she was gonna require certain things. And I think that's a natural instinct with him. Having now a 30-year-old son and seeing what he went through in his 20s, I think it's good to let him mess up for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I used to know a guy that said it doesn't really matter what you do in your life as long as you're on your way by the time you're 30. But I think at 17, it kind of doesn't matter what he does for the next 5 years. I mean, you can say, okay, let me get him on a track, get him in through college, all these kind of things. Okay, well, college is going to teach him how to show up on time and do what somebody else tells you to do. And that's
outside of being a doctor or something like
sure.
that. You know,
I'm not knocking college either, by the way, just because I didn't go. I'm not one of those, well, I didn't go, so nobody should go. No, I think it can be a very good experience. I'm not saying that. I also think that there are other things that a person can learn, but the only way to learn is to go get your hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you know whether or not you can change a tire that's blown out on the side of the interstate when it's raining like crazy and you're 3 feet from how do you know if you can do that or not until you've had to? And when you're 19 or 20 and a male, that's the best time to, you don't want to do that when you're 35 and got a kid in the car. Some of those lessons, and that's a hypothetical, but some of those things that you learn by making bad choices when you're young is, I think, the only way you're ever going to gain that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think as a father,
should negate you from telling,
from trying, sure,
or at least putting that bug in their ear, planting that seed. Then when it does happen, they can refer back.
And I don't think it's a big deal. Like with my son now, I'll be like, hey, you remember a year ago when I told you this and such, and you said that run the right way, and I said, okay, and you did the other thing. How'd that work out for you? I say that to my son a lot. How'd that work out for you?
And you're not going to say, I told you so.
I will too, man. I'm a jerk there. Sometimes I will. I'll be like, dude, I told you not to do that.
Correct. I mean, I would too, especially to my son.
When my son was in his early 20s, hopefully he won't be too embarrassed about this, but he fell into some of that, let's say, country boy crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he wanted his vehicle to be loud. And so rather than putting some, doing it correct, he would just cut it off. He would just cut the exhaust off right in front of the catalytic converter. So it would just be obnoxiously loud, not sounding cool. He had a Yukon Denali, nice SUV.
With no mufflers.
With no mufflers on it. Thing sounding like it was terrible, man. It was terrible. And I could not convince him that, dude, this is not cool. Now he's grown and he sees the difference, but yeah, he probably would have squatted a truck if that would have been the thing back then.
The Carolina squats.
I just don't
looking
understand.
Like a bulldog, looking like the what's the cartoon bulldog on Looney Tunes?
Oh, I know who
you know what I'm talking about. Big up top, small down low.
It's funny you bring up cartoons.
Oh man, I love cartoons.
I love cartoons too. It's been a long time since I went back and watched some old Looney Tunes cartoons.
Oh man, have you talk about life?
They got everything.
They got everything.
There's a lot of dirty jokes.
Yep. They'll smoke a cigarette. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. There's
a lot.
You might get your head blown off, your beak turned backwards. I
saw a cartoon. They had Hitler giving a speech, and Daffy Duck came up behind Hitler and hit him over the head with a. It was Hitler. I'm like, this is crazy. But these were,
It was showing. Was it like a cartoon? Like
it was a cartoon.
But still a human Hitler, a human drawn cartoon version of Hitler, or was it like a duck playing Hitler or a rabbit?
No. Yeah, it was like a human drawn. Yeah. No, you could tell this is Hitler. Like, and the way he was speaking, and had the little, yeah. And then Daffy Duck just came up and hit him in the top of the head with a hammer. I said, man, these are some crazy commercials back there. Crazy commercial stuff that today would just be very racist about every race you can think of. A lot of stuff about Asian people, just kind of making it seem like Asian people are dumb or whatever. And it's like, man, you could not do that today.
No. You have to be definitely politically correct, and they'll definitely get canceled if they try to
Porky
go
Pig,
back.
He hit his thumb on something on a workbench or whatever. Son of a son of a and then he goes, son of a gun. He kind of smiles. He goes, you thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you? And he actually said it on the cartoon. And I'm like, man, this is, what in the world are we talking about? But
it's
bitch
gold,
didn't used to be nearly as bad of a word.
It's a female dog.
Yeah.
The true definition.
It was a common used
BITCH
term, and
is
people
a
would often say,
female dog. And we turned it into a curse word. But are curse words really, like, I'm not putting a curse on you. I'm just calling you a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Am I really cursing you?
That's a good point.
I thought a curse would be like, hey, I hope you
may the fleas of 1,000 camels
fall asleep behind the wheel and run into a cornfield. You know what I'm saying? I just cursed you.
Well, and it's interesting,
or you just called me a bitch. All right,
like whatever. The word "goddamn" is a verb. That's a curse. That's not a. It's invoking one's God to damn someone to hell. That's a pretty strong curse.
So that would be a curse.
That's a curse.
Goddamn is a true curse.
That's a curse. Yeah.
Oh man,
The
I
way it
remember.
was
I remember
originally
when I was younger, I would never say that word. You know, oh, you use God's name in vain. Oh, that's blasphemy. I mean, I probably say goddamn more than I say any other word,
Really?
any curse. Let's say curse word. You know, out there.
I don't say it so much. Listen, man, I'll drop an F-bomb quick, fast, and in a hurry. It means everything. Depends on the inflection, but it can be used for almost anything. You know, people say that cursing is a sign of a lazy vocabulary or a weak vocabulary. I also saw another study that said the more intelligent a person is, the more they curse. I don't know.
I think the older I get, the more I curse. Because for one, it makes me just feel good.
I also saw a study that said when you hurt yourself, like hit your thumb with a hammer, that cursing actually does produce some sort of a chemical enzyme or whatever that actually does help to reduce the pain.
Make you feel good.
It actually
like
makes
my stuff, my toe, shit.
But you could also say
sugar honey iced tea.
Sugar honey iced tea.
Sugar honey iced tea.
As long as you said it with the same sugar honey iced tea.
Sugar honey iced tea.
Either way, it still works. It releases something, you know. But the taboo, quote unquote, of saying a word it's interesting to me to explore. I'm a person who likes words.
Oh, yeah, I know you do.
And to explore, like, why are some words that mean the same exact thing? You could say making love. You could say doing the hippity-dippity, the horizontal hip-hop. You could come up with all kind of hide the pickle. What are we talking about here? But if you say fuck, I said it, folks, on the podcast. I said it. But if you say that, now it's a whole nother conversation. Hide the salami is still probably going to get you a grin, right? But now you've taken it too far. Why is that?
Society norms.
Yeah.
What we deem to be, I guess, right or correct or righteous or sanitary.
And those words change, like watching the old cartoons.
Correct.
You know?
As society evolves. As we evolve.
Into a different direction. And so then, if a word that once was considered taboo is now used in a way that's not taboo, then now it's okay to say that word. And vice versa. Gay is probably a good example of a word that really has changed, you know, meaning in a big way.
Gay was happy.
Just happy, yeah, just happy.
Oh, he's so jolly and gay.
He's so jolly and gay, and it wouldn't even be, you know, you wouldn't even think twice about it.
That guy's happy.
And now it completely means homosexual, and nobody's going to mistake, you know, what the meaning of that is.
Yeah, if you were born out there, let's say 2005, you probably don't even know gay really means happy.
I bet it's earlier than that.
Even earlier than that, huh?
I remember reading the word gay. I've read the word gay in books when it clearly meant happy. But I don't remember ever having, maybe my grandmother might have used it when I was really young as, you know, as a meaning happy.
So when did gay become gay, as in what it means now?
I think probably in the 70s.
70s.
I'm not a historian of the LGBTQ plus movement, but you know, there was a specific bar in New York City, if I'm not mistaken, and there was a turning point in the movement, as it were. Homosexuality was illegal, and this was a bar that was kind of undercover, you know, that gay people could go to and associate. And I guess the cops got a wild hair and decided they were gonna. It ended up at a shootout and a standoff for a couple of days. I don't want to disrespect that because people died there. You know what I'm saying? Over. I think that's pretty ridiculous to be shooting somebody over who they want to be with. Like, okay, you don't have to like
over their sexuality.
But you're going to shoot them for it? Really?
Correct.
It's kind of crazy. But I think that was kind of the turning point where the gay movement, as it were, and I think that was late 60s. I think that was during Vietnam or maybe just barely after the Vietnam War. But anyways, I think it was in that era when the word gay became, you know, synonymous with homosexual.
With homosexuality.
Just happy, yeah.
Correct.
And I think that's along the same time that the rainbow flag started to be used, I think.
To depict,
I believe,
your gayness.
That's as much of the history of that as I can give.
Yeah, that's way more than I had for you.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I hope somebody's listening to this one going, man, this guy must listen to a lot of podcasts.
this guy knows a lot. He knows his stuff.
I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Hey, that's not bad.
Once you start getting below the surface, you know.
They say master of none.
Jack of all trades
Jack
and
of
master
all-
of none.
Correct. A little bit about everything.
So sometime first thing in the morning, I say first thing, it'll be mid-morning for me. We'll be leaving out for Atlanta,
Okay.
packing up
On the road again.
on the road again.
I just can't wait to
Me
get
and the
on
family with all this can be the
again.
farthest Madeline has ever been away from home.
Wow.
We're traveling over to Stone Mountain, Georgia
An adventure.
for
Stone
the
Mountain.
Yellow Daisy Festival.
Have y'all ever walked up Stone Mountain? Since
Oh,
y'all
many
been-
times.
Many times. Okay, good.
Yeah,
That's a
many-
good walk.
It is a good walk, yeah.
What is about a mile?
Something like that, yeah.
Shy of a mile,
It certainly
maybe?
walks like more than a mile by the time you're going up. And
Correct.
But you know,
correct.
back in the day, they used to drive cars up there.
Oh,
They would race them like off of the side on certain places,
Mhm,
and it's you can. Yeah, I've been there so many times. I've been through the museum, and it's been the museum was closed last year when we were there.
that was one of the last trips I took with Cynthia before I joined the military.
Really, Stone Mountain.
We walked Stone
Okay.
Mountain. Yep.
How'd you feel
before I
about the
left.
subject of the carvings on the face? Did it mean anything to you at all? The carvings on Stone Mountain, if nobody knows, is Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, and Stonewall Jackson,
Confederates?
the leaders of the Confederacy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they straight up- they
Yeah.
straight
Everybody
up
knows Robert
Confederates.
E. Lee and Jefferson Davis was the president, and Stonewall Jackson was, one of the prominent
Stonewall
generals.
Jackson. That's
Look
a
at
hell of a
Jackson
name.
standing there
That's
like a stone wall.
Stonewall Jackson. That's a hell of a name.
I think
man,
I'd
to
rather
get
have
some-
people saw me
A stone-
moving than just
I mean,
standing still. He looked like he was scared to me if he's just standing there.
I really didn't get no feeling out of it. It's two sides, and they just lost.
They
It
lost,
is what
yeah,
it is. But
yeah.
they got their face on the wall. Okay, whatever. We got a statue of MLK in Washington D.C.
100%.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It's history.
And I think that's
It's
to me, that's the
history.
key. If you tear down everything that was done that was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a monument to the bad choices, in my opinion. It's a monument to where we've come as a country and where we are now.
Correct.
It's interesting to me that Stone Mountain Park itself is a very when you look around at the people that are there, it's people from all over the world. Not just what we consider diversity here in the South, but literally all over the world. Asian people and people from South America and from Africa, different places. It's a tribute to how far we've come. I think. I hope that's what I would like to see it as an aging white man from the South. But that's what I'd like to see.
know the history behind it, it's still spectacular.
100%.
Like, oh man, how the hell they carved that off the side of that mountain?
It's still the largest carving in the world.
Is it bigger than Mount Rushmore?
It is bigger than Mount Rushmore.
Now I did not know that.
Now that new Crazy Horse monument that's being carved out is going to be bigger than Stone Mountain. I think that's kind of a different. That's more of a 3D rather than just Stone Mountain is 3D too, but I think that's more like the Sphinx. But yeah, it's the largest carving in the world.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's the guy that started it went on to carve Mount Rushmore, and then another guy came in and redid a lot of the things on Stone Mountain, and it kind of made it into a different carving. Originally, that carving was supposed to cover the whole mountain. It was going to be a whole like a cavalry of horses coming across there.
Okay.
And then they realized, man, it took us this long to do this part.
Right. I mean, it's impressive.
It's very impressive. Yeah.
Like I
And you
said,
can see
regardless
it.
of history behind it,
Yeah.
it's impressive and
no
spectacular
state
to look
funds go to preserving that.
upon.
It's all self-sufficient it's a state park for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but it generates enough income where there's not tax money going to preserve that monument, which
Right.
to me makes a difference too.
Okay. Well, I'm just glad they lost.
I'm glad they lost. It.
I'm glad the Confederates
I'm glad
lost.
they lost too. Me and you both.
I'm glad they lost.
But anyways, yeah, we're going to Stone Mountain.
Uh-huh.
We'll be there through Sunday, and we'll be back next week.
Okay.
So we won't be at the camp for our loyal followers this week. Sorry
Hey.
about that.
You'll be represented well through me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're
Hopefully by then,
You're welcome.
listen to our podcast if you miss us.
Yeah. Hopefully we're live.
Live
and in color.
Live and in color.
Live and in color.
Where the
coming
truth
to
is stranger than fiction.
Hey, this has really been fun for me. Just getting on here speaking. I know I kind of touched on it's being almost therapeutic to me, and me just looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Coming down here, sitting face to face with you, eye to eye, and having these conversations. But it also had me thinking about like, man, a legacy. Like my kids can go back years from now, even when I'm dead and gone, and hear my voice.
Interesting.
And hear my dad speak and hear how he thought, You know, and
hear how you thought is the.
Hear how I thought.
There'll be plenty of examples of your speech now in the in the world we live in. But to sit down and have an hour-long conversation with somebody,
right?
You get a lot deeper than just what's on the surface.
Oh, you.
I feel like I know you a
does.
lot better as a person.
Correct.
And I'm sure you feel the same
and
way.
You still speaking with me, so
we're still on speaking terms.
I ain't read you off yet, because I got some crazy ways. But it is because, so my mom passed away, back in 2007. I don't think I ever talked about this with you. It's something, that I never shared. But she passed away back in 2007 from a gunshot wound to the head.
Wow.
And I had to bury her,
Sure.
And I was a young man at the time. 2007, I was 22 years old having to bury my mom. I was her beneficiary. So I had to take care of all those arrangements.
Sure.
So I get this call early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning is my granddad, my grandmother's husband, not biologically, but he's been there for me,
sure.
growing up as a kid. And he never called me before in my life. At 22, I get this call. I'm in Missouri. I'm in Knox, Missouri. I kind of touched on that,
Knob
Nasty, Missouri. We would call it Knob Nasty, but it was Knob Noster.
All right.
And it's early in the morning. Like I said, I'm 22 years old. He never called my phone in my life, And so when I look at my phone, I see who the call's from. I'm excited. I'm happy, not thinking that he's about to give me some horrible news, because I haven't been through this before. And he tells me, he called me Bo. He said, "Hey, Bo, I got some bad news for you. Your mom died." And it just went silent. I think we held the phone for a couple minutes. That couple minutes felt like forever.
Sure.
And we hung up, and I had to make emergency arrangements to get emergency leave out of the military to go back home and take care of those arrangements for my mom to bury her.
Right. Were you married at this time?
I was married, but Cynthia wasn't living with me.
Right.
I was,
Y'all were
she was still in Georgia, where my mom was, because my mom was helping her out with my youngest son at the time. Like when she had to work, my mom would watch her and stuff like that.
So now there's also logistical things they're going to have to change too.
Correct. And so I'm saying all this to say, I used to have this video on my phone with my mom and my little sister and my grandma. And they would say, hey, Quint, going back and forth.
That's cool.
And just how I wish I still had that video, and how that's probably one of the most important things my mom left me.
It's gone now?
A 30-second video. I can't find it. It's gone now.
Wow.
And I'm saying we having these conversations, and now we're going to start trying to put it on video. When I'm dead and gone, hopefully I can leave something like this for my kids to go back and see and listen to me.
When I first found out Jessica was pregnant, I started recording a couple of videos for my as yet unborn child. I didn't even know what she was then. And I did it a couple of times. And then it's a weird thing to do, to just sit down by yourself and, record a video to somebody you've never even met. But I see your point. Hopefully someday she'll be able to look at these and know a little bit better about what kind of person.
Correct.
It's interesting as we do this to think about some of the things we've talked about are somewhat private, very personal for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes emotional, and anybody in the world is going to be able to see this.
Right.
I can only imagine somebody who's truly famous that lives their life in the public. It's no wonder, Michael Jackson was kind of crazy. It's no wonder,
Yeah.
Can't imagine everybody knowing the private, personal details of your life.
I would definitely rather be rich than famous.
For sure.
But
I'd rather just be well off, I think, than rich.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me just enough where nobody cares. But
Well, money's only good for three things: to save, to buy what you want, or to give it away. Those are only three things money can do for you. Well off, rich, whatever the case may be.
Rich is very relative.
Yeah, it depends on how you might define rich.
If you gave me $1 million, I would feel rich.
You would be rich. $1 million feel rich.
If you took $1 million from Beyonce,
she won't even miss it.
If she did, she'd just be irritated.
Oh yeah, I bet $1 million to her is probably like $2 to us.
$1 million would have the potential to
'Cause you
change
talking-
my life.
She's a billionaire.
She's a billionaire, sure.
I don't know if she's a multi-billionaire, but she's definitely a billionaire.
At that point, how do you know? What's the difference?
Because what we said, a billion is what a 1,000 million.
1,000 million.
Oh my goodness!
You got enough money to give 1,000 to make 1,000 people a millionaire. But like her and Jay-Z have done some of that. What was it when something happened and they went and bailed a whole bunch of people out, like Harlem Night style?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
I can't remember now.
Like a whole club get locked up, and
yeah, it wasn't a club though. I think it was some rioters or something. I think they were kind of not necessarily. I think it might have been like a Black Lives Matter protest. That
okay.
I can't remember what it was, but anyways, yeah, Beyonce and Jay-Z, I guess, showed up like Harlem Nights, and I could see Jay-Z
bailed everybody out.
Taking that, they probably played the scene through. I can't repeat it, obviously, but, get them people out of jail. That would be hilarious.
I wonder, could
watch.
they write that off on their taxes?
Bail money.
We
Can
spent
you write off
bail money.
money?
Can you write off bail money?
Write off bail money? That's a good question. If there's a lawyer listening, let me know if you can write off bail money.
Can you answer that question? Can you write off your bail money? I just bailed out 100 people,
Maybe.
Cost
if
me,
one of them was an employee
2.5
of
million.
yours, then call it a business expense. I don't know.
True. I don't know either.
That'd be fun to walk in a police department and just bail out.
Can you write off bail money?
Everybody. That was cool the way he did it in Harlem Nights too. Had limos lined up for everybody.
Everybody
rolled
back home in style,
a tuxedo,
shaking their hands.
Yep.
Hey, thank you for. Yep.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Right.
Sugar Ray's will be back open. At least top 10 movies of all time. Harlem Nights.
I would concur with you.
Gotta be
Shane Knox. I would definitely concur. It's definitely a good. If you haven't watched Harlem Nights, please go check it out.
Go watch that movie.
Go watch it. You won't be disappointed.
It really is a brilliant movie. A lot of cursing in it. If you're worried about that, maybe leave the kids. Watch it yourself the first time, then decide if your kids are ready for it.
Correct. What we looking like on time?
You know what? It's one of the first times that I actually look over and it's about right on time where I thought it was. We got a few more minutes.
Where we at?
We're at 48 minutes.
48 minutes? Hey.
47 minutes.
If I would have guessed, I should have guessed before I asked where we was at. I would have said maybe 30.
I should have asked you to guess. I was thinking probably 35 to 40.
Maybe 30.
Pretty close,
it seemed like we just started talking. Like I said, it always amazed me how quick.
How fast it goes.
If I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. These go by pretty quick.
So, got any wisdom for us this week?
Oh, you want the wisdom now?
You know what? I was thinking, get the wisdom now. Something tells me it's going to be profound and it's going to take a minute.
I don't know why.
Why I feel that way.
You feel it's going to be profound, Shane Knox?
Let's do what we got.
Let's see what we got. Shane the Brain, man. Shane the Brain over here put me on the spot really for the wisdom. Let me see what I got for the. When I give these wisdoms, I'm always trying to get people to. My goal with these little nuggets or gems of wisdom that I'm putting out there in the airways is just to try to get people to be their greatest self. That is my ultimate goal. Stop living under a rock. Stop hiding your greatness. Let your light shine. I think I said it last podcast that one candle can light 1,000. So don't downgrade or mediate your talent or your voice or that greatness that's in you. Let it shine. Bring it out. Don't be ashamed of it. If you're better at doing something than someone, who cares? You're better at that. They might have their own talents, their lane, but stay in your lane. Let that greatness shine. Let your light shine. And I think a quote I want to leave y'all with is, in life, don't go out finding who you want to be. Create who you want to be. Don't go looking for who you are. Create it. Be what you want to be. Because if you go looking, you're probably going to find something you don't want to be in the end. But if you go out and you create your own life and you go look for your own life and you make your own path, you can live life with no regrets.
That's an interesting thought. It became popular at one point in time to think about the concept of finding oneself. Well, she's finding herself. He's finding himself. Okay. I mean, self-reflection is always a good thing. Taking some time to think about who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think is a lot more, but if you think about the concept of finding yourself, who knows what you're going to find?
Correct. Or you lost.
Are you
what you
lost?
mean? You finding yourself. You're right where you probably need to be.
I've been lost though, metaphorically.
And now you need to. I think finding oneself will probably lead people down a path that they probably never want to take.
Possible. We have talked about that road not taken though.
That's why I say maybe go create oneself as opposed to finding oneself.
I like that. I think it's important to have a reset. You talked about a reset as a country, but I think it's important to have a personal reset. And sometimes maybe, that requires a bit of wandering, mentally, physically, whatever it might be. I think it's okay to admit that you're lost. Sometimes it's okay to be lost on purpose. But
so you said maybe stumbling in the dark will probably lead you to the point of me wanting to create who I want to be.
Maybe, or maybe it will help you understand who it is that you want to be, and now come on out of the dark and go start creating that person.
Start creating that person, as opposed to I'm looking for this person, I'm searching for this person that don't even exist. I
found this, and let me mold myself into this person. I think young people have a tendency to do that, especially in relationships.
Okay.
A lot of times, it's important to find a relationship, somebody that you can share your life with, and I think sometimes it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to become what you think this person wants you to be. That doesn't have to be a relationship. That can be a society. That can be a job, a corporation, a group of friends, whatever it might be. But I think it's easy to fall into the trap of saying, well, what is it that this person or group wants me to be? Let me be that so I can get this result that I think that I want. Rather than maybe spend that time in self-reflection and find out what it is that you want, and then align yourself with a group or a corporation or a person that has the same goals and needs that you do. That's a long way of saying I agree with you. I think, you do have to figure out what kind of person that you want to be, but then go out and make that person. Don't stumble across what random thing that you find that seems good at the time. Figure out what I used to tell my kids, and it's something I learned from working in McDonald's, as a matter of fact. And I believe it's one of the 7 habits of highly successful people, Stephen Covey. It's a pretty good book. But anyways, begin with the end in mind. What do you want this to look like when it's over with? That's good advice. Conflict resolution. If you go into a conflict with somebody thinking, what do you want this to look like at the end? Is it important that you feel like you scored a point, or are you trying to get that bridge built? Which one is it? Like you might win, and now the bridge doesn't match, and what are you going to do? Or whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished. If what you're trying to get accomplished is just to have a better understanding of a friend, attacking them is probably not going to help that. How do you want this to look like at the end? And then go out and make it, to your point.
And go out and make it.
Go out and make it. Make your life be what you want it to be.
What you want it to be.
And I think it's important. I think about this podcast sometimes. And I'll be 100% honest. Sometimes I think, man, this is kind of silly that we're doing this. Why are we doing this? The 3 of us grown men come in here and just BSing into a microphone. Nobody's going to pay attention to this. Nobody's going to like what we hear. But those are the ways that you try to talk yourself out of trying something new. Maybe nobody will listen to this.
Or talk yourself out of your greatness. Like I talk about, I'm trying to get people
right
to be
out of your greatness.
Their greatest version.
Yep.
Sometimes we could be our own worst critic.
Yeah, I think so. And our own worst stumbling block at the same time.
Correct. You can get in your own way. Or sometimes your comfort zone can be your prison.
Oh, I agree.
This is taking us out of our comfort zone.
That's been one of the points for me.
Because you've been so comfortable for so long.
Right.
It doesn't hinder your growth.
Right.
Your evolution, your progress.
Growth is never comfortable.
It's not.
Growth is never. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, depending on which version of it you believe, but the founder of modern day McDonald's certainly was Ray Kroc. But he used to say, you're either green and growing or you're dying. If you're not constantly pushing forward, learning something new, trying something new, then, you start withering away. And I think that's true. How many people do you know that retired and 6 months later they're dead?
They're dead.
They retired with nothing to do.
I can count them.
Sure.
I mean, I bet I can probably think of 5 that retired and was dead within a year.
And how many more
Worked their whole life.
retired and maybe they're not physically dead, but they're just that useless old man sitting on the
Correct.
porch with the rocker, these kids these days, get off of my lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's good if it wasn't built in 65. We've talked a little bit about that. I think that the key to warding off aging as long as possible is being open to new things.
And still having a purpose.
Having a purpose.
You see a lot of people go back into the workforce, probably not because they need to,
Right.
from a financial point of view, but maybe just from a mental, physical point of view.
I think people
I need
are
to go back.
just inherently have a need to be busy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I think we inherently have a need to be constantly working towards something, a purpose,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a higher, some kind of lofty, whatever it is. Do something, maybe your purpose is to make sure yours is the only lawn on the block that's always neat and trim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that inspires somebody else. And next thing you know, everybody keeps their lawn neat and trim or whatever it is.
Correct.
My son said a good way to start is the grocery store, the cart at the grocery store. When you're done loading your groceries in, do you just leave it sitting in that empty parking space next to you, or do you take the extra 20 seconds to walk it over to the place where it's supposed to go and put it away?
It depends on how close I am to the building.
Okay.
At the minimum, I'm at least put it in the cart holder.
The cart holder, yeah. You're not
the
just going
cart
to leave it in
parking
an
spot.
empty.
I'm not just going to leave it in
For
the car
sure.
beside, or next to the car beside me.
For sure.
But if I'm close to the building, I'll walk it over to the building.
Yeah, I try to do that too.
I try to do that too.
And to my son, that's become a point of personal integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when I was younger, it became a point of personal integrity, and still is to this day, where I don't throw trash out the window going down the road. I just don't.
No. I throw a banana peel out the window.
That's gonna,
apple core,
an apple core,
but not,
for sure.
No
yeah.
trash.
But I'm not throwing trash out the window.
Yes.
And it really bothers me when I see people doing that. It's one of those things where you can remind yourself, even when you're all by yourself and there's nobody out there and you're on 65 and you're the only one and you got this cheeseburger wrapper. But if you throw it out the window when nobody's looking, that's still who you are.
Mm-hmm,
What you do when nobody's looking is who you are.
Correct. I done seen people throw whole bags of,
Oh, for sure. Don't care.
A whole Wendy McDonald's bag out the
Throw
window.
everything
out the
behind
window.
it.
And I was like, man.
Yep.
You
I used to see
don't
them at
have
McDonald's.
respect for your
They'd come through your drive-thru,
environment,
and while they're sitting in the drive-thru window waiting to get their food, they'd empty their cigarette ashtray on the ground right there for everybody else to have to deal with. Gross.
Buds and all.
Man.
They had little roaches, ain't that what they used to call your short weed?
Your
short
weed
joint,
the
roach.
Little roaches.
All your roaches hanging out, flying out the window, Your roach.
I wonder how it gets that name.
Let me get that roach.
Let me get that roach.
let me get your roach. You get your tweezers out.
Save those things up,
hit
unroll them, and roll them all
roach,
back up.
You get one or two more drags off your roach.
Wow, we talk about everything.
Oh, man.
But that's what we're here for. Talk about everything.
Your roach.
Including your roach.
Including your roach.
That used to be a bigger deal now if they found that in your car.
Hey, man, a roach will get you jail time.
Roach will get you jail time.
A roach will get you. Better swallow that roach. You better. Hey, either you gonna swallow or you gonna keister it. I ain't going to jail for a roach. I think swallow is way better than keistering. Hey, I chew them right up.
Wow. I gotta hold back. I gotta hold back on that comment. Right?
Come on, now. Don't leave me out here.
We're gonna call this episode "Swallowing is better than keistering," and
swallowing is better than keistering. Hey, most definitely.
That's a piece of advice right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for real world advice,
Q is full of gems, man. You better listen to him.
All right, guys. Episode 2, season 2.
I think that's been a pretty good episode.
I think it's been a good episode.
I actually shed a tear this episode talking about my mom.
I noticed that.
It's been a while. She died in 2007. So what's that? How many years is that?
13.
No.
14. It's 2024 now.
13, 24, 17 years.
17 years? 13 to 24?
14, 13, 17 years. And
what year was it? 2007?
2007. 3, 4, 7, 10. Yeah, 17.
Never really goes away, does it?
No.
That's what I've heard.
It gets easier though.
Sure.
It definitely gets easier. Time goes on. Life don't stop because my mom passed away.
Right.
And that's another key word of advice for people. When you die, life's going to continue.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For everybody, you're dead and gone. We might shed a tear, but life goes on.
No matter what you left behind.
No matter what. But like I said again, your legacy.
Sure.
I said one of the best things I wish I had was just a little 30-second video of my mom saying she missed me.
Interesting.
Out of everything she could have left me, that's the one thing I wish I still had.
So many takeaways from that.
A 30-second little clip of her saying, "Hey, Quinn, I miss you." And I can recall the last conversation we had. Like you said, those things never goes away, and people really don't understand until they have to bury a mom or dad. Someone close of that nature. But like I said, life goes on.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. It gets easier. I might think of her maybe 1 or 2 times out the year. Like just having this conversation brought it up. It might cross my mind on Mother's Day.
Right.
But outside of that, I really don't give it no thought.
I think the key is to keep busy.
Mm-hmm.
Keep busy. Keep moving. Like you said, life goes on.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. And it has to.
And it has to, yeah.
And if I could throw my 2 cents in,
go ahead.
I would simply say, folks, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it. We grew up in a time where certain things were expected to just be buried and not dealt with and not talked about, And talking about it. I feel honored that you feel comfortable enough to be a little bit emotional in our presence.
Oh yeah.
That's that I feel yeah,
I'm not boo-hooing like the Tin Man in the eyes.
But to be able to acknowledge an emotion.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is how I feel, no matter what that emotion is, to be able to say this is how I feel and know that it's safe enough and then still know I'm not gonna let you get away with some BS. Like, don't get crazy on me.
Correct.
But at the same time, if we don't talk about the things that we feel and at least acknowledge that, hey, you know what, I feel sad. You ain't got to give me appreciate that, man. Yeah, you know what, I'm here for if you need something, whatever.
Right.
I think it's important to talk about those things, and especially these big life events that you're talking about.
Oh man, that's a big one.
That's one of the biggest.
That's a big one for you. If you haven't experienced it yet. It's going to be a big, because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Naturally, your parents should die before you. Naturally.
Sure.
My mom just died unnaturally young, from a gunshot wound.
Right.
But gunshot wound aside, just naturally the way time works, your parents are going to die before you, and you're going to have to put them in the ground.
Right.
So
we're all going to have to deal with it.
You all got to deal with it. It's coming. Keep living.
Well, folks, I sound like it's a 1950s radio show. And now, what we got to tell you is, I think it's time we wrap this one up.
Hey, let's wrap it up.
Put it in the books. I got to get ready to get moving out in the morning.
Yeah.
I might have some stories next week.
I got to get to Decatur.
Coming back from Yellow Daisy Festival.
I can't wait to hear them.
It's always fun to see that. They say 250,000 people come through this festival.
That is amazing.
Over a 4-day weekend. It's a lot of people.
250,000 people.
There's a lot of people out there. This has been going on for like 50-something years.
Just hard to fathom 250,000 people.
Yeah, 250,000 people coming through there. So, yeah. And I'll be passing out Vendor Chronicles cars.
Vendor Chronicles cars. Check us out.
Check us out.
Check us out.
Let's leave it at that.
We're out.
Peace.